Rone Geeks, welcome back. Brent here with the man, the myth, and the marvel, Will Parker, to break down episode 2 of Loki. We apologize that we are late, as it's been well over a week since the episode dropped. However, we will be doing better moving forward to get a more concrete schedule in for making sure that we give you our up to date Loki recap. I know usually we have the excellent minds of Sam, our Grown A Geeks headmaster of ceremonies, and Jeffrey, our host, who you actually all love and enjoy, as opposed to having to listen to me rant and ramble for God knows how long. But we'll do our best to give you a accurate and brief synopsis of everything pertaining to episode 2 of Loki and what happened in this episode. Because there's a lot of big reveals, there was a lot of stuff if you weren't paying attention that you could just slip right by you and have huge world implications, not only for this show, but for Marvel moving forward. First things first, Will, what did you think of the episode?
I thought the episode was great. So I like how they came out the gate here in the second episode and dropped some pretty big bombs. Freaking as you'll see as we talk more. So at that, um, Loki's got some more character development as far as figuring out how he works, how his mind works, and stuff like that, and what he's trying to accomplish. We get a little bit more on Mobius, so like that, and yeah, I think that it's great overall with how they pace everything.
Yeah, I really like that Marvel has literally just thrown off the gloves for the first two episodes because I say Loki's first episode is probably the best opening episode we've seen of their TV series thus far. I think it was better than Falcon, and I think it was better than WandaVision. I think the
Agree.
second episode of Loki holds up par with Falcon and the Winter Soldier because the Falcon and Winter Soldier was a strong incline the whole way through. There was really not a letdown from. It was like the first episode was the low point, and it wasn't a bad episode. It's just Marvel puts out such a high quality of product now that it's very hard to sit here and be like, oh no, Marvel did this wrong or did that wrong. But this episode was an absolute banger from head to toe. I mean, it got a little slow, like right in that midpoint, but that's where they were establishing what was going on. They were putting a little seasoning, they're putting a little marinade, trying to make sure that the chicken or the turkey, however, which personality you have on the show, depending, would say they're cooking up their food to deliver us a hot and delicious episode of Loki. And we got the big reveal of who was behind the scenes of it all. And if at any point in time you've been looking for videos out there for spoiler materials, there's been stuff out there because the first two episodes of Loki was pre-screened by a couple online editors, and for clout, they went out and put out what actually transpired within the episodes themselves to make themselves, put a little feather in their cap, be like, oh, I was right about this because so many of us got WandaVision all the way wrong. There was literally so many theories and red strings and Mephisto. Yeah, had to go there, and I had a whole whirlwind of a universe just going on that now looking back has literally no bearing on what could actually transpire. They went hard 90 on me. I had no idea where they were. They juked me in the open field. They were gone.
I haven't given up.
But at the same time, as far as the big reveal goes, as they're sitting at the Rocks cart, which I believe that's a add-on of the Rocks On company that was throughout the Marvel universe that was prevalent through Iron Man 1 in the background on a building and Iron Man 3. I believe Rocks On was the company that held the ship where they had that final battle,
Yeah,
which
rock songs like that, which has been prevalent a lot through Marvel comics and stuff like that. Like even in the new Miles Morales Spider-Man game, the main adversary that you're facing is one of the companies and stuff with Roxxon, so like that. So Roxxon has just been around, and this Rox cart, more or less, or whatever is Rox Mart. Like this thing was just an offshoot because this is a future timeline, so this is just an offshoot of Roxxon in some way, shape, form, or fashion.
I really did like that they had the virtual greeter because I feel like that's basically the next step of where we're going with like Walmart's and Costco's and Targets and stuff. Like, well, if you want a social distance and all that stuff, you're just basically just gonna end up with like a virtual greeter. They'll just have like an advanced AI and just leave it at that. They'll have something akin to like what Miss Minutes is because she literally is just an advanced AI. Because like if you when her interaction with Loki at the beginning of the episode, you can hear her shoes tap on everything she moves on, and it's touching. And Loki is just like, "What are you?" And she was like, "Yeah, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, basically." And she was. We still don't really understand what Miss Minutes is to a certain understanding, but she has her own spot on the elevator, so it's like, is she actually physically Tara Strong there? And then, like, on their little wristbands, there's Miss Minutes as well as her own separate function, like, that can page you to her, which I think was a very interesting thing to add if she's just literally, this basic AI, something like Jarvis. Like, is there a physical person to relate to this AI, you think?
I think that something's going on with the AI for that. I think it's going to play a little bit of a bigger role. Not exactly sure what, but um, I do like that. She's prevalent. For I love the voice actor.
No one's gonna say
But
they hate Tara Strong. She's
exactly,
just
nobody
so
can.
talented in everything she does voice acting wise. Like if you want to be a voice actor, Tara Strong is probably one of the people you're just like. She literally almost made her own subgenre of voice acting just on stuff she does. Like I
Okay.
hold her in the same breath as I hold like Chris Sabat, and he voices so many of my favorite anime characters because he does Vegeta, he does All Might, he is the voice of Yami Sukihiro in uh, Black Clover. Like the man is a lot of my favorite characters, and just can't say enough good things about that. As far as the big reveal goes, were you happy with the female Loki and the job that you saw thus far from Sophia DiMartino?
I was happy with her portrayal. She definitely seems like a good counter to him, a good opposites with that. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is not really first time really seeing her, come onto the scene and go at it with him. So I still hold, Tom Hiddleston in high regard for his Loki and how he, plays his Loki and stuff like that. But I think she's keeping up, well with him and stuff like that, and they have a good chemistry. Um, but again, so like that, again, trying to figure out who exactly she is and what she's doing, so like that. And all honesty, just with Thanos, like I feel like she's related to him, but not him. I don't think she's actually Lady Loki or like I think she's, you know,
Something else entirely. Because
yeah.
a lot of people were talking about like if he took the 2014 comic run of Agent of Loki. There's a Loki with a broken horn on the same exact spot as Lady Loki, but that Lady Loki in of itself is almost not him. And if you look at the foreign credits for episode 2 of this show, Lady Loki's name is Sylvie. And if you're a Marvel buff like you are, Will, the name Sylvie and then you add magic on top of it would have you tend to lean towards which character exactly.
Enchantress or Sylvie Lushton, so like that. So again, and I think I don't know a whole lot about Enchantress. I know just enough, but with her and stuff like that, and with the Sylvie character and stuff like that, I do believe she's a variant so like that. But I think she's like a variant like in was Loki's daughter or something to that effect, possibly. So like that, like she has a lot of the same mannerisms as him. She's displaying a lot of the same personality traits as him, so like that. Very self-serving, so like that. And their chemistry, so like that is just freaking annoyed with each other. And I see it just because, me and my daughter be going at it. She's 7 and we still go at it like, her. So that's just kind of how I see her. So I mean she could be Enchantress, which goes right along with another plot point we'll discuss later on, which I'll get into then. But yeah, we can go any way with this right now, and
They left
I'm just
such
watching
an
everything.
they left such an open-ended interpretation for a lot of the stuff they have going on that I feel like sometimes the Marvel theories that fans throw out, Kevin Feige will sometimes like get a hold of them and be like, let's adapt that and adapt that, and they can kind of add on to what they already have going on with their concrete plan. Because I mean, as far as plans go for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there's been
Look,
so few duds along the way.
I need to get paid. So that freaking if my ideas are taken, and I'm not even talking about money, so that I want to just let me go to the red carpet for the movie premiere.
I
Let me
mean,
put me
if
up
you're
front.
saying the red carpet has Kat Dennings or Scarlett Johansson or anything of that nature, I mean,
It's quite
hook your
possible.
boy up. I'm just saying you should be able to add like a +1 at that point. Like some of the red string ideas you've had have been pretty dang close to what we've actually seen in the show so far. Um, with Sophia DiMartino's iteration of female Loki, there's been a theory that's been thrown out that I kind of want to just bounce off you, see where you go with it. What if Sophia DiMartino's character is basically a reincarnation of Loki after he died in Infinity War? So it's basically a future version of Loki, but it's still the same person. Because
I mean, it's possible, so because Loki has done things in all types of Norse mythology as well as in the comics and stuff like that. That's one of the reasons why Loki is fluid, so that fluid, and he can be anything at any point in time. He can be male, he can be female, so that he can be an animal. Again, he can go from he to she, like real quick, whatever he wants to do. And then also goes to him because when the Asgardians create their offsprings and stuff like that, usually it's an offshoot of them or something in relation to them. So it's possible, freaking, if he used his magics with it to do something before freaking he was killed or so like that, or if it was something set up before, we could get another flashback, freaking, where it's like, oh, well, this is a time where Loki, learned a trick from his mother about how to preserve himself and stuff like that, freaking, because you already so different things that Loki can do and so like that. It's like, hey, maybe freaking one of the greatest witches of all showed him how to reincarnate. Because we already know about witches and reincarnation and stuff like that from you know
WandaVision.
Wanda and freaking Agatha. So that so it's like, hey, freaking, why not one of the greatest Asgardian witches and stuff like that show him some tricks?
So
Like,
it's a very, very prevalent theory because, like, literally all you'd have to do to make that theory factual is when Loki had the Tesseract aboard whatever ship they were when they were fleeing Asgard. And you could just have a little cutaway Loki in his room holding the Tesseract, experimenting with some magic, accidentally or on purpose, depending. For this exercise, it'd be on purpose. He makes a reincarnation of himself X point in time because this Loki in that timeline, assuming everything stays fluid and it gets reinserted correctly, he would know he's going to die. So he'd reincarnate as Lady Loki and then start all this loop de loop around to where he's still alive, but like at the same time, still dead.
it's time. It's a tricky subject because we can get down to the end of the episode and they can be like, he could do something at the end of the episode where he already knows he's going to die because he saw the videos and stuff for movies. So he may say he gets a hold of the timekeepers and stuff like that. He gets them to do something, or he gets access to their tech, whatever. He's able to do something to reincarnate himself and so like that to move everything forward and so like that. And then creates that look, and then basically everything that we saw so far is actually an after effect of what we're gonna see. Again, this is time; it can get real wonky real quick and stuff like that. You don't know which way you're going and stuff like that. So, and this is one of the reasons why I was nervous with Marvel doing time. Like, I'm not against it with that, but they have to tread very carefully as to how they do time and how they step on things within time. Because right now they're just doing, you know, different things in different places, like, okay, freaking, alter timeline, go back and grab these Infinity Stones, stuff like that, and cleaning up the branch is a good part of keeping it clear, so like that. But again, one misstep and stuff like that, freaking to the continuity and so like that could throw everything out of whack and stuff like that. So, but you want to be able to explain it in a way that your viewers understand what's going on. You don't want them to have to sit down and
Overanalyze
not know.
everything like certain
Again,
companies have done. Whereas, like, well, if you knew the comics, you would know this. Like, not everyone knows the comics like you do. I very much don't understand a lot of Loki's comics and a lot of his lore. I started reading it because, like, hey, the series is coming out. I feel like it's beneficial information. I feel like I would rather have a better backstory and a better understanding of what's going on. to keep some continuity with the character. Be like, all right, they're pulling from this comic for this, they're pulling from this comic for that sort of thing. And you want your viewers who are as average as me, or as well versed as you, or Sam, or Jeffrey, or Tony, to be able to understand on the same level and still be able to explain it concretely, where you're not sitting there scratching your head and be like, wow, why do I smell burning rubber type thing? You know, you don't want to like over tread your tires and just keep burning everything out, you know. You want it to be a concrete point synopsis. And I absolutely agree. Time travel is one of those wonky things. As long as it fits within the TVA's continuity, technically it's fine. But at the same time, only the timekeepers decide what really continuity matters. And
Yeah, so it's all going to come down to that because, again, with Marvel having control of the property, to do it as they see fit. So of course, like it's their property, so they want to reincarnate it into a different version or tell a different story. They can. We've already seen that with Hela's Wolf, the Fenrir's Wolf, and stuff like that. That was actually created by Loki. That is actually one of Loki's sons.
one of his two sons, and then he has a daughter on top of that.
So freaking with that being said, with that, and they used it in a different manner, I'm okay with that. They're telling a story, and I like to see their new version of the story because it leaves me guessing, it leaves me wondering. I don't want just a rehash of the same thing. They can do anything with this. So again, Sylvie, freaking as you call it, that's what she was in the credits or whatever. It's Sylvie, whatever,
Yeah.
so like that.
It's just Sylvie. There was no last name at all, so it's like they left
she
it
could
open.
She could be anything right now. That's what that, and that's the biggest thing is like, okay, they gave there's a very generic name in the credits, stuff like that. She's wearing the Loki garb and stuff like that. Freaking, who is she? And be like, oh, she's Mystique, freaking from goddamn X-Men. She's just shapeshift. Like, I don't fucking know. They could do anything they want right now. So I'm just interested to see where it's going and stuff like that. But I can't put out any super big speculations and stuff until I know just a little bit more. So I'm gonna have to wait. Probably around after episode 4, I'll have a better idea of where I'm going with it.
Yeah, because Marvel will introduce a character, they slow build the character, and then they throw that huge curveball right at the very end that they've always done. Then you're just like, well, everything I knew is pretty much shit now, so I got to kind of work around that and kind of go with this new grasp and new understanding of what the character's true intent was at this point in time. And even if it's just a female variant of Loki at the very minimum, there's going to be a curveball somewhere because he's a trickster god. I mean, that's what he does. And like in Norse mythology, Hela is his daughter. In Marvel, that's his older sister who's kind of a dick. So, I mean, like, they could literally go any which way that they want to with this and make it their own thing. And so far, we've all been loving what Marvel's been doing, so why question them now, you know? But going along with the Lady Loki reveal, we see all these different time bombs go off at the very, very end of the episode. In all, which I thought was interesting, there's about 42 of them. Which, if you notice another prevalent time-traveling movie, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, when they asked what the answer of life was, 42. I thought that was a weird Easter egg in of itself to just kind of casually throw out there. Which, would you think 42 time bombs equals 42 separate timelines, or would there be timelines and offshoots and offshoots and offshoots? So like 42 could end up like
it depends. That's why they have to close off the timeline, I think, to keep it from creating another offshoot or another thing, so that if someone were to go into that new timeline and then branch that timeline by doing something else out of freaking turn of that timeline, like it's a constant stack effect. So like this Loki freaking was to do something in the timeline branch, and then he goes into that branch, he's in that branch timeline, and he does something different than what he's supposed to do, and it branches again due to outside interference. To say, female Loki, Sylvie, shows up and she does something to branch it again. Now you can have multiple branches off of a branch, and it goes kind of crazy from there. But you got to think about where this is going with multiverse and stuff like that. What other movie did we watch that came out in 2018 featured the number 42 with multiverse?
Which movie was that?
Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse, Miles Morales, and stuff like that. 42 is linked to him, but and it's through everything that he's done and stuff with Miles Morales, so that it's sitting there about the key jersey number, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Is like there's a couple things that the number 42 references. So it's like, all right, cool. It's a nice little Easter egg, but is it going to go anywhere? because you're 42 is Jackie Robinson. So it's like, all right, freaking with Jackie Robinson 42, freaking that leads back to Miles Morales. So at that, could we be getting Miles Morales? Boss Logic, freaking shout out to him and all his great artwork. Just posted something about Spider-Man, freaking Far From Home, and stuff like that. With, and again, it just artwork. It's not freaking necessarily the league. It's not freaking. It's just he's posting some cool freaking pictures and shit. And I like the way they look. But hey, Miles Morales' foot was in the picture, and so that his classic shoe. So it's like this could be just alluding towards multiversal things and stuff like that. It may not say in particular that these characters are coming or doing anything, but again, the number 42 has always been important with universal travel. So
yeah, for whatever reason, it's always been 42. Like in Infinity War, the inverted strip that Tony used to figure out time travel was called the Mobius strip.
Yes.
So you're just like, everything seems to be so concretely tying together. Is like, the dude who thought up this, I mean, it's just next level geek hero at some point in time. Like, I want at the very end of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, God forbid that ever does happen, somebody come out and say, like, yeah, this was the mastermind behind it or masterminds behind it. Male, female, I don't care. Either way, genius level intellect in putting together some of the stuff that ties back in so neatly with other stuff, because we've seen other universes and other companies like try and hash things up, and it's just a jumbled mess of I don't know what. But with 42, I thought that was very, very interesting. And with the time bombs as Sylvie, female Loki's variant plan, were you able to catch some of the names, or do you want me to just go off a couple of the different names that I found on the list?
I looked at a few of them, so that, but go ahead and start dropping them off because I can't remember off the top of my head. But
because it goes back in time to Hala, which is the Kree universe, like pre everything. You had Titan, which is the planet of Thanos, and it's pre its destruction. At that time frame, Thanos would probably be a younger version of himself. He'd still be around, but like the planet might still be one thing. So like if you fix that, that would have a whole effect of itself.
That was Rhodey's whole thing. Remember, he was just like, you just go back in time and take care of Thanos, baby Thanos. So it's like, yeah,
done deal. They go back in time to the planet Ego, because I guess something big happened there. Like you could change Peter Quill's mom and have a whole different thing going on there. Or
keep him from being born altogether if he's a freaking planet. So
they go back to nowhere, which if you watch Guardians of the Galaxy, that's where that Celestial was beheaded. Like you go back in time and undo that. That could be a thing. They go to Sakaar, which is a huge one because it's 23 years before Hulk shows up and becomes the Grand Masters champion. You could have seen you could have seen Beta Ray Bill, you could have seen Ares, Man-Thing, Bi-Beast, or Darkcrawler. Literally, you could introduce any single one of those characters logically in a way that makes perfect sense with the universe you set up so far and why we haven't seen them, and then reintroduce them in the future. It'd be like, yeah, we were here, we just went and did a thing. Like, it's kind of like how Captain Marvel's like, she's always been there, but she's not. And that would be a great way of introducing those style of characters. Xandar, and that was pre its war with the Kree, so that could have some huge effects. Like I don't know if that's going to find a way to introduce like the Nova Corps or Sam Alexander or just Nova in general, the old version or the young version.
Sam Alexander, you got Richard Rider, you got options.
Like there's a lot going on there. Jotunheim is another one of them, and Jotunheim, if you're familiar with Norse mythology, like you appear to be, that's where Hela was doing her battle and was trapped with the Valkyries. So you could go back in time and end up killing, Black Valkyrie. Instead of killing her girlfriend, it appeared to be, you kill her instead. Boom. Branch effect right there. It changes all of Thor Ragnarok going on from there. You also have Niflheim, which is where Loki was born. So you could, Jotunheim and, I got Jotunheim and Niflheim flip-flop, folks. Niflheim is where Hela was. Jotunheim's where Loki was born. And it's pre-Loki. So, like, you could have a lot of different stuff, like the war between the Frost Giants and the people of Asgard went differently because one thing turned sideways. That's a huge branch of itself to keep going. Let's see.
Yeah, because you said there's 42 points. I mean, it's a lot of shit that was hit, and it's like we don't know how this is gonna go.
And one goes to Vormir. like a couple years into the like a couple hundred years in the future, and Vormir is where the Soul Stone was kept. So I mean, like these weren't random time bombs. These were predestined, pre-picked plans that she knows if she throws a wrench of any kind into that universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe as we know it drastically alters, which would perfectly lead up to Doctor
A reset
Strange
of the
and the
entire universe.
multiverse of madness. Like, there's so many different things that these particular time bombs can influence, and as long, and literally, even if these time bombs mean nothing now, just saying, if it doesn't, Marvel can still go back and readdress, like, oh, you remember this Easter egg from here? Well, here's this character that offshoot from there. And here's how this character came back from there. And like there's so many different things that they can just create a whole new show off of. It's brilliant writing. You've literally, instead of closing up certain things, you've opened up so many different variants and possible topics of conversation for for geeks and to help put out more content, which I'm sure a company like Marvel would love to put out more content because we are rapidly eating that stuff up and absolutely loving everything that's been going on with it.
Yeah.
While we cover the very last bit of this episode, Loki's ultimate, well, penultimate decision to leave the TVA and follow Sylvie, Lady Loki. How do you think that was executed?
I think that he freaking went through multiple decisions, and I think he's still making it up as he goes along. So that like he can be helping, or he can be hurting the investigation, so to speak. He could be more self-serving, so at that, and team up with her to get stuff done, stab her in the back and do it all himself, so at that, capture her and take her back to the TVA and get his audience, so at that, freaking like there's a lot of things that that can happen with this. He can go various different ways, but because as Bruce Banner said, Loki's brain is like a bag of cats. Like you don't know what's going on in there, and so that we literally have to wait to see how it plays out because you can't tell what he's gonna do and when he's gonna do it. If he's gonna help his brothers with it, or he's gonna stab him in the back. Like it's all up to how he feels at the moment. So currently at the moment, so that he's just trying to survive freaking and figure out what he's got to do to make sure that he doesn't get erased. So his choice was to follow her and figure out what's going on because ultimately she's still leading to all those decisions. She's the key part in all those decisions. So he needs to stick with her.
Because like Loki is considered the god of mischief, but at this point, I feel like he should just be the god of spontaneity. He just loves being spontaneous, and he literally does whatever the hell he wants, whenever the hell he wants it, however the hell he wants to, in whatever capacity he so chooses. It's just usually he has somebody of a god level tier to kind of anchor him down. Like Thanos held him down to a certain extent. Thor is usually stuck on babysitting duty. You have like Valkyrie, or you have Hulk, who he's just petrified of. But you just have people to keep him in line. And now that Loki has just escaped the only people probably capable of keeping him in line, God of Mischief's going to do his thing, and it's going to be very interesting in the next couple episodes to really delve deep and figure out where they're going to go with this. I'm very excited for episode 3. Is there anything in particular that you're looking forward to them revealing in episode 3?
Honestly, I just want to know freaking more about freaking this Sylvie. I need to know more about her and stuff like that, and I need to know what Loki's up to. I doubt I'm gonna get freaking the ladder in the next episode, so like that I don't think it's gonna be down to 5 or 6 before I know what his actual intentions are, which I still think he's making up as he goes along. And Sylvie, I think she's just an enigma at this point. So you know, whatever little bits and pieces I can, freaking maybe he'll get something out of her. I mean, even if he gets something out of her, so that as opposed to just what we got from the credits, that'll be more than what I got now. So fuck
Yeah.
it, I'll run with it.
Yeah, for me, anyway, the one thing I'm just super concerned about is what door they went through and where does that lead and how that will play out. Because to be someone who's so well versed, you can literally pick 42 different spots within the Marvel universe and just time bomb the crap out of it. If you know that you just committed this heinous crime against the TVA, which we've all seen is exceptionally powerful in terms of Marvel universe, like using Soul Stones and all the time stones in general, just literally Infinity Gems, sorry, as little paperweights. You better have a very, very good way of escaping and getting away from that kind of stuff in general. So I'm just curious what door it goes and where it leads. Because I'm enjoying the ride with Loki so much. I know a lot of you came in with low expectations, but as soon as they announced Tom Hiddleston on a project, I was excited. I got less excited for Owen Wilson, but Sophia DiMartino is also a great actress. I know very little about her, but I like what little I saw in this episode. I'm very much looking forward to episode 3. With that, any final thoughts, or you feel like we have succinctly wrapped up Loki episode 2?
Yep.
So, Grown Geeks, be sure to smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and ring that little notification bell so you get notified every time we put out piping hot, brand new content to the page, because we have a lot of stuff in the works and we have a lot of good things coming down the pipe. I have been your host, Brent. Thank you for putting up with me. I know you guys are looking forward to Jeff. And as always, we have the man, the myth, and the Marvel, Will Parker at the top. Thank you for your time, folks.